Late July, a strong southerly front brought huge 6-metre ocean swells into Cook Strait, and the ferries cancelled all sailings, including ours. You're either prepared for travel interruptions or freak out when they happen. Recently back from 2 months in Europe and fully adjusted to the post-COVID travel norm of frequent delays and cancellations of plane, train and bus sectors, we just went into interruption mode. We were travelling in the lower North Island when the cancelled text arrived. So jumping online, we rebooked the first available sailing, which was 2 days later. Then we slowed down and lingered in Greytown. What a pleasant surprise this town was, normally viewed out of the van windows as we drive through. It is a refreshing mix of restored buildings, history, and of shops creatively displaying a variety of quality and interesting stock. The cafes and restaurants are warm and inviting on this cold, wet, midwinter day. My wife commented, "I enjoyed those shops as much as I did enjoy shopping in Europe." For myself, I enjoyed that there were some bloke shops in the mix. One was a bike gin combo, and even if you're not interested in either, it is well worth an amble through. July is their winter festival month, complete with snow each Saturday for the families to enjoy. Check it out. As the weather was far from great, and Jen wasn't keen on the possibility of snow on the Rumataka Hill Road, we drove over it and bedded down over in the Plimerton NZMCA Park for 2 nights. This is a convenient Wellington stop, 30 minutes from the ferry, and an easy walk to the rather picturesque Plimerton beaches and rail station. The next day the weather had settled, so we hopped onto the train into Wellington Central. The conductor nearly chucked us off as we only had our Stocard digital copy of our gold cards, which isn't accepted, even with your proof of ID in the form of a licence alongside it, which they state may be required on signs posted in each carriage. It appears that Wellington Metlink may be the only organisation in New Zealand that does this. Perhaps it's their close proximity to all the bureaucracy just down the road that produces this conflicting message. But we did not let that spoil our day in Wellington. We walked around the harbour in glorious sunshine. One of those sunny Wellington days that don't come along often enough. Stopping for a coffee at the Crab Shack, which we enjoyed outside on the wharf. Great coffee, free water and friendly service. In Europe, we paid for the water everywhere, so it's good to get back to this, and also no tipping. We lingered so long over our coffee that we had to order lunch, which was delicious. Full marks for the Crab Shack for representing New Zealand so well. And they don't get the blame at all for one irresponsible seagull who did a strafing mission on me. Missed the food, but got my jacket, well and truly. After lunch, we continued our slow amble along to pass the colourful boat sheds and out to Oriental Bay. Despite the July day, we spotted a few keen swimmers pushing the ice aside, as it were, as they did their lengths up and down the harbour. From here, you also get a great view of St Gerard's Church up on the hill. Heading back, we had a look to see what was on in Museum Te Papa, and I popped down into the display that shows the earthquake bearings that support the building. This display is just outside the main entrance and is really interesting. Then we strolled back to the railway station via the shopping streets. Possibly a mistake, as my wife took the opportunity to update my wardrobe. She was aided by a very capable lady in Rod and Gun Willis Street. After that, back on the train, and we experienced no problems with the conductors on our return trip to Plimerton. An enjoyable day in Wellington. Up early the next day to an unimpressive morning. First a cup of coffee and onto the motorway heading to the ferry. The ferries are clearly marked and soon we were checked in and queued up waiting. So time for breakfast. Soon we were on board and enjoying the view as we exit Wellington Harbour. This is the first part of a 3-leg trip. Leg 1 takes you out the harbour to the Wellington Heads. Leg 2 across Cook Strait. Leg 3 through the Sounds to Picton. As we entered Cook Strait, we spotted the snow-topped mountains of the South Island's seaward Kaikoras. The strait is quite flat. It is amazing how quickly it settles down. This is just 48 hours after huge 6-metre swells were running through here and stopped the ferries. On this crossing we encountered several hundred dolphins out near Tongue Point. They seemed to delight in crossing the bow of the ferry and playing along in the wake behind it. While having crossed the Cook Strait over 100 times, I never before have seen so many of these amazing mammals. It just reminds me that we see so little of the marine life that lives under the sea. We enter the scenic Marlborough Sounds via the very narrow Tory Channel. Past old whaling sites, farm buildings and holiday homes. You'll notice in many of the bays, mussel and salmon farms are dotted around. This is a very productive aquaculture area. Due to concerns about wake damage to the shore line, we travel into Queen Charlotte Sounds and on to Picton Harbour at a much reduced speed. All too soon, the ferry arrives at Picton and spins around and backs into its berth. We then drive out onto the South Island. So all the delays due to cancelled ferries are now behind us. These ferries certainly form a valuable lifeline between the two islands. Freight, people, cars, they carry the lot. We trust you enjoyed viewing this Remote Places New Zealand video and the detour through Greytown and Wellington that the ferry cancellation created. Remember to stop and get out of your vehicle. You will see, experience and enjoy the area you travel through much more. And please remember to subscribe and ring that bell, then you'll get the notifications of future videos. Thank you for watching. Dudley Moore at Remote Places NZ.